What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 122 of the FlipScreen Games Podcast, a weekly video game podcast where two, sometimes three best buds from different nations come together to discuss the wide world of video games. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Stephen Radford.
Hello, hello.
And joining us again today, this smoldery motherfucker over here, Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy.
I just
Ahoy,
can't
my
look
friend.
at him. It's too intimidating.
He's hitting you with the blue steel, you know?
Yeah. These are fight me or fuck me eyes, Steve. And I'm going straight at you.
This one's
Luckily, the
demonetized
audio
right out the
listeners-
rip. That's fine. I don't even care. It's worth it. It was worth it. You know, it was worth the bit.
Luckily, the audio listeners could have heard my smolder through the airways. So
I had to, punctuate it for them. I think,
mhm.
maybe if you're an
ever
audio listener,
wonder
you go
that?
watch on YouTube today.
Do you ever think there's probably a lot of people that have no idea what we look like?
Oh yeah, there must be. They're like,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love some drawings. I'd love people to draw us from what they think we sound like and send it over.
Max looks like Phil Mitchell. That's what he looks like.
Phil Mitchell right at his trough. Right at
Yeah. Can you just talk like, you're right, yeah. Come on then. Let's do this.
I like the idea that you're like,
Ben.
you look like this famous person at the decline of their appeal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like
like at the bottom.
when he was on the road
Bottomed
down.
out. Bottomed
That's-
out like Phil Mitchell.
It's like you're
There's-
Phil Mitchell on the smack. Like,
There-
it's already
yeah.
happened. Yeah.
I edited a picture of me. One day I was like, oh, I really feel like Phil Mitchell today. So I edited a picture of him with like stood on the street, bottle in one hand, Steam Deck in the other.
It's okay. I'll be Ian, and I'll be the I have nothing when
yeah,
we
got
find out that
nothing
I've
left.
lost. I have nothing left when
That's
I find
rarely
out I've
when-
lost the predictions again.
All
Phil
right,
Mitchell
okay.
over Ian Beale. Wow. like, what a
Handbrake.
time.
I'm handbraking the bit. All right. We've gotten too British. We're moving it back in. So
What, mate?
we got Oi Gov. We got a big episode here. All right. We got, of course, it's the second episode of the year. It is time to name the winner of our 2023 predictions, and then of course make our brand new predictions for 2024.
Yes.
And of course,
Let's name the winner. Let's come up with a name for the winner of the year. Let's do that, Max. Me and
I've
you
got a
will
few
come
today.
up
names.
with a
We have.
name.
I
I've
mean,
got a few
we have a
names.
name. It's the winner of the coveted and Bessie Trophy, a third-time winner. And now, of course, I can get my name added yet again. Another illustrious victory for this
okay.
franchise, this organization, this incredible champion
It's
from
easily
America.
one of the saddest things I've seen in my life. This is very Michael Scott to get your own trophy printed up and
See,
put
here's
your
the
own
thing,
name on
Max.
it.
You say that because you haven't won the trophy, right? Just because I own the company. I didn't make the trophy for myself. If one of you guys was good enough to win something, you could get a trophy.
I'm going to work out what Bessie is an abbreviation for by the end of this show, just so I can really lay this out.
You're gonna acronym me?
Yeah, boy.
Look, man, you can write diss tracks as much as you want, but I'm not responding until you actually
Diss
take a
track?
legit.
Oh, I really want that. Please make a diss track.
Diss track.
Max.
If I'm doing a diss track and I'm doing your name, it's an acrostic, son. I'm going full acrostic.
All right, look, here's the thing. I feel like we're spoiling it, so I'm not gonna bury the lead, right? I trounced these losers yet again. It's not
Mhm.
surprising. We all knew it, right? I think anybody that
Yeah.
pays attention knew I was gonna win again
You
because, of
picked all
course,
the easy
I had.
ones
I'm sorry.
again, yeah.
The final scores here. Final scores. I had six points for me. Interesting. And then the next closest was Steve with 3, half as many. That's almost good.
Come on, right. Take the risky pick out of it, which granted, great pick.
My
But
risky pick, I was
Take
right.
the
We're gonna take
the
that
risky
out of
pick
it, and then I'm
There's
still
only one
right.
in there.
And then I'm still right. Okay.
Risky pick was bad.
The rule that you invented, the risky pick. Let's just remove that from, and I still beat you, and I still have twice as many points as Max. But go ahead. Go off, Steve. And then, of course, Max, who's talking smack back, left, and forward, third of my points. He didn't beat
It's
Steve.
called.
He couldn't even beat Steve.
I don't want to beat Steve. I've got a lot of respect for Steve. It's
Okay.
called small dog syndrome, Pete. And I'm currently embodying it full small dog. I can't get
Look,
my
whatever
words
you gotta
out.
tell
I'm that
yourself, man.
upset.
I'm ready for you to be a big dog, but if you're not, that's okay. That's okay. I thought you won the belt this year. I'm getting that printed for you, and
Oh
see how
yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
the
and
belt.
that you like though, right? That's
like the
that
belt.
that makes sense for you
That's
to get
cool.
that. Right?
That's
Yeah,
because someone else is gifting it to me. I'm not going online and searching belts for big happy boys and ordering it myself and getting it sent to my house with whatever.
Just because
Let's
I'm the
move on.
commissioner and the champion, you're gonna try and hold that against me. But it's like, I mean, I just keep winning. It's not my
Commissioner.
fault, you know?
The
I had to make an
commissioner.
event for you to win. I had to orchestrate a
Thank you.
victory for you as
No,
the
no, you didn't.
commish.
You didn't pick a bunch of people who aren't as knowledgeable about specific things about video games than me, just so I could win a belt. That just happened to be. That's just happenstance.
Anyway, so let's just quickly go through some of these predictions from last year. Well, you know, I've already won. I don't need to make a victory speech because I mean, what did we think was going to happen? What did we think was going to happen? Obviously, I was going to take it because I had the right predictions, right? Like number one, that Nintendo will not release next gen hardware. I was correct about that. Microsoft will successfully acquire Activision Blizzard and the deal will close. I was right about that. First L, right? Happens to the best of us. Ubisoft is acquired or liquidated. Hey, still running strong and solo, I guess. Number 4, Armored Core will be delayed out of 2023. That, of course, did not happen. It was a game award. Oh, you're gonna laugh, buddy. You're gonna laugh. Oh, is that you turning into the Joker because of how close you were to a point? Or
That's my first. That's petty. I'm not going to petty anymore. I'm gonna.
Number 5, Bungie's first new project under PlayStation is revealed unrelated to Destiny. That ended up being Steve's insane half-court shot, like calling the home run. Incredible that marathon got revealed. I frankly, I wish I could give you bonus points for that one, bud, because
I'll take a bonus point. Put me up to 4. Sure, why not? I'll do it. You know, I'll take the pity point. I don't care. You know, I'm not proud.
Number 6 for me was that Persona 6 will be announced. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think that'll probably end up happening this year now. We'll see.
I don't think it will. Not when they've got that other Atlas game on the pipeline.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Persona game
It looks
coming this year.
amazing.
I forget the name of it, but yeah, it's the new IP from the team that did P3, 4, and 5. So I think that's, and obviously they have the re-release of P3 as well. The like the remake or whatever. So plenty to show off. So maybe you're right. Number 7 for me was GTA 6 will officially be revealed. That one came through. Number 8, Nintendo will not release a new 2D Mario game in 2023. Of course, that was wrong. Super Mario Wonder. Ended up coming out. Number 9, Embracer Group, will release a game that will be nominated for a game award.
You could have just ended at Embracer Group will release a game, and that still would have been wrong.
That could have been my risky pick, frankly. They instead decided to implode and close like 3 studios and cancel a bunch of games and lay off a bunch of people. So not so much. Number 10, Square Enix will be acquired. That one didn't happen. And then my risky pick was that the Summer Games Fest will have higher viewing figures than E3. Of course, that was correct because E3 had 0 viewing figures. So there we go.
Didn't happen.
Yep. Didn't happen. So that was 6 points for me, Steve. Max, why don't you go through yours real quick?
Yeah, my first one was Elden Ring. Now I read these back, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Elden Ring expansion released by the end of June 2023. I did believe in that, but maybe we'll see it this year at some point. Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm surprised it didn't come out this year. I
mean, this year
June was early, but
yeah. But hey, there's time.
It's not that early though, is it? That's like 8 months after the release of the main game. Like you kind of do expect a DLC to come out within that first 12-month period, I think.
Well, no, it was a year and 8 months, wasn't it? A year and
no, Elden Ring was 2022, so this would have been 8 months after. Didn't it come out in like late 2022? Oh, did it? Yeah. Well, yeah. Then I don't think that's a bad prediction at all.
Thank you very much. The next one was Tears of the Kingdom will feature Zelda as a playable character. I really believed in this one, but oh well. 3, a Blood Bowl game is revealed this year, but not a straight port. Shane would have liked that.
I actually think Lies of P counts. That's basically a Bloodborne game. Like, I think you could get a point for that one.
I'll take if you're going to start handing points, I'll take points. Armored Core 6 will be the best-selling game in the franchise within the first week by an official source or reputable analyst. Now, I think if we go back to listening to the podcast, I really taught myself out at this point because didn't you say, Pete? I'm pretty sure you said that it was the best-selling game in the franchise, but I said, it has to be just so we know how to quantify that it had to be from an official source or analyst.
And this is like I looking back on this, like when I was tallying the scores, I was like, you talked yourself out of a point because you made it needlessly specific, and also you guys pushed to get rid of partial points. I would have given you a half a point for that.
When did it get released? Because it was announced as the best-selling game in the franchise based on a live stream that the voice actors gave, that it sold
Yeah,
2.8
it's
million
not an
copies
official
That's not what he
today.
said, though. He
source.
said an official source or reputable analyst. A
I
voice actor saying it on a stream is
on
not
a
the
on a
same.
No,
From
I agree.
Software stream, that kind of is an official
Who's on a
source,
From
really.
Software stream?
Yeah.
We can give it to him if you want. I don't
But
care.
but I don't know if it was in the first week. That was in October, and didn't it come out, like, months before that?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Didn't it come out in August?
so I don't think you get the point because of that. It was very, very specific within the first week, and it's
Well,
gotta be
yeah,
an
the
official
reason I wanted
source.
that, the reason I was thinking that is because, like, yeah, I don't know. I was too specific, and I've tailored my picks this year to
Yeah, Max
We
correct
is
did the
that.
just
same
like,
thing with
"That'll be a new
Forspoken,
game."
where I remember you got, like, so specific, and I was like, "Just say 80. Like, give yourself
Yeah.
some wiggle room, bro." Like, it's a good, it's fine prediction.
Well, I think I would have been correct if I went with the original one. That prediction was Forspoken's Metacritic score will be below 80, which was correct. My first correct on the list. Would you like a little laugh, Pete? Do a little laugh? Or
No, I mean,
no, he's too. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever. Konami would announce at least one new game for an existing franchise with a third-party developer. Again, quite close, probably. We did say a new game.
I believe they have. I believe Super Bomberman R2 was announced.
Is that with the
So
third party?
I don't know
We
if
get a
it's a
point here?
third party, but the
Actually, we got
game was announced. It's worth looking into to see if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a
let's
I'm
third
looking
confirm.
into this right
I
now.
told you to double check. I wanna
So
make
at
sure you get your
TGS
Well,
point.
I just forgot
2023,
that existed.
they also
Developer
announced
Konami,
a
publisher
Yu-Gi-Oh
Konami.
game, which I guess maybe isn't theirs. So
Again
does that
no,
count?
again, it's being made by a third party, like, this is you gotta we gotta give the facts here, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think this counts. It seems to be developed by Konami. Sorry, hang on a minute.
Why you why
No,
you
no, let's just give up. I'm not gonna get the point.
Okay,
It doesn't
alright,
matter.
okay. Next up.
Number 7, Elder Scrolls 6's name will be revealed, e.g., Oblivion or Skyrim. They didn't even
No.
mention the game, to be honest. Starfield was obviously their main focus. Next one, a Spider-Man 2 delay will be announced or it will not be released. Obviously, we can't know if it was delayed internally, so that's why I had to specify that. Again, it came out. I reckon it could have done with a little bit more time personally, but whatever. Number 9, Xbox will release a new first-party controller with a feature that exists on the DualSense. They didn't release any new controllers that wasn't just a color, did they? Unlike
No new, like, features.
Was the Edge this year, the DualSense Edge for Sony, or was that last year?
That was last year.
That's last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Number 10, my second point, Nintendo will announce a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet paid DLC, which did happen, and that has now all come out. My risky pick this year was that Metroid Prime 4 will be released in 2023. Not even a mention. I'm pretty sure an image came out, but that might have still been 2022. But yeah, no, none of that. So those are my 10 picks.
Couple of these I think I could see maybe happening this year.
Yeah, don't say because they might be on the list.
I won't. They're all up for grabs, of course.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, go through yours and then we'll get into the new ones.
So, my first one, Nintendo won't reveal a new Switch. Obviously, didn't happen. Number 2, Link will die in Tears of the Kingdom. Didn't happen, sadly. I thought, based on some of the trailers, Link was going to die at the beginning of the game, and then he's like going to come back, and there's maybe like a time shift thing, and like you got to stop that from happening. Obviously, totally, completely off base. Game Freak will apologize for the bugs and issues in Scarlet and Violet and will not release a new Pokemon in 2023. Again, if we didn't have points, I'd have had a half point here. I also should have just been like, Nintendo will apologize because they did. Nintendo Canada apologized, but Game Freak didn't apologize.
Yep.
Which was a shame.
Again, you guys negotiated yourself out of points. Max would have had a whole extra point. You would have had a whole at least point and a half.
Hey, we'll see. Then Bungie will announce a new game in the Marathon franchise, the first in 23 years, which I did get correct. They did announce that.
I remember like laughing at you for that. I was like, this is the most fucking crazy thing you possibly could have predicted. You called it, man. You called your shot. It was a great one.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Valve will launch a subscription service. Sadly, didn't happen. A new Fallout game not developed by Bethesda will be announced. I think this probably is going to happen this year because we've got the Fallout TV show coming out, and I'd imagine there's going to be a new mobile game that goes alongside it or something. A mobile game will be considered for Game of the Year at the TGAs. Did not happen. Sony will add support for cross progression to their PC games, enabling players to switch between PlayStation and PC. Sadly, not. Meta's Quest 3 headset will be announced and released in 2023. Yes, it was. My risky pick, Phil Spencer, will announce he plans to step down or a successor will be announced. Should have fucking picked Jim Ryan, shouldn't I? Because would have got that one, but not Phil Spencer.
That's like another that happened to you last year with the Bungie.
Yeah, I said
where you were like, Bungie will be acquired by Microsoft, and it's like, oh, they got acquired by Sony. Like it was like the mirror image of your prediction.
Yeah, very very frustrating, but can't win them all or any if you're me,
or even one of them maybe. I don't know.
Hey, there's this year, Pete. I believe. All right, we'll do the 2024 predictions soon.
All right, well let's get into them. So I guess here's my question for you two. Do you want to discuss an addendum to these rules so that you can get some extra points?
Okay. Well, let me go through.
I was correct.
Let me go through the rules we had last year then, and we can go over what we potentially want to change. So last year, the rules we set out were 10 predictions, each worth 1 point, one risky pick worth 2 points, no half points, solid picks only, nothing left to interpretation or subjectivity, because we had issues before where it's just like, could be this. That's why you forced Max into doing the reputable source. So we had to make sure that you could validate the answer and the response, so we didn't argue the toss.
It had to be like a binary yes or no. This
has to be a yes or no. Yeah, not like some people liked it, or this thing was well liked.
This will be a major talking point this year because it's like that's subjective, right? And then we had to like argue about whether or not it happened.
Can't be obvious, something that's already happened or prior knowledge. So if, say, someone leaked something to you specifically and you knew it was going to happen, you couldn't then be like, oh, this is going to happen and no one else knows about it. Or it can't be something obvious like Nintendo will release a game or something stupid like that.
I've got to change my
Or it can't be something that's already been announced, like the Princess Peach game that's coming this year. We can't be like, there'll be a new Princess Peach game in 2024.
We couldn't make predictions about like the Wolverine when there was that leak, right? And we
because we
ostensibly know that it's not going to come out in this year or whatever, right? So saying,
and you can predict that it will come out this year though, because the leak is that it won't be
leak, and that's fine, right? Because I did that with the Mario thing where I was like, "There's a leak that this game exists. I don't think it's real, so I'm going to say that it's wrong." That was fine, right? But if I had been like, "A 2D Mario is going to come out," because I heard there was a big rumor about it, that's not really in the spirit of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
All right, so.
And then we were going to get an impartial judge if we needed it, but we didn't. So because it was very clear that Pete won, and we weren't willing. We didn't need to argue it.
We were going to bring a guest in, and it's like, I mean, guys, we're all on the same stage here, right?
We all understand. We all understand what's going on.
So Pete, you mentioned you wanted an addendum to the rules.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you because literally, I would not have benefited at all from partial points this year. Both of you would have had a significant percentage increase in your points and your on track predictions if we have fine. Partial credit.
I'm okay, but it can only be a half point. None of this stupid like we did the year before last. You get like a third of a point or 0.25 of a point. That's just ridiculous. And I think it needs to be adjudicated by the other people or the kind of impartial judge as to what gets a half point. So if it's a 3-part question, but you get 2 of the parts right and 1 of them wrong, maybe you get a half point. If you get 1 of the parts right and 2 of them wrong, maybe that's then up for debate.
How about
if that one part is more substantial than the other 2.
How about to keep it so that it's not open for interpretation, there can only be 1 addendum per prediction. So like it can't be a 3-part thing. It would be like to take it back to like one of the ones that you guys would have gotten points on, right? Like Max's thing about this will be a bestseller within the first week. That's a 2-part prediction, right? If the first week is wrong, then he still gets a half point, right? But there's no other part that's like open for debate.
Yeah. But not every prediction will need one of those, right? It's only if
just if you want to, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a risk reward there, right? Because obviously, if it's a 2-parter, you run the risk of maybe you get half of it wrong, but you still get partial credit. Versus if you make a single prediction and it's any element of it is incorrect, then you're incorrect.
Okay, I'm okay with this.
It's kind of like hedging your bets a little bit,
I like
right?
to hedge. I like to hedge my bets. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And
I think it.
looking at my predictions here that I've got, I think a lot of those will work. Yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to change the rule then. Rather than no half points, we'll say
Only half points, exclusively
half
half points.
points available.
Yeah, I would say you can either score a full point or a half point
Okay.
if you have a 2-part prediction.
Score full or half point if it's a 2-part prediction. Okay, that's fine then.
I have
And
21 predictions, and I wrote some of them in that format in case you guys agreed. And I was like, if not, then they're 2 predictions, and I have 40, so we're great, or 30 or whatever.
okay.
So I'm ready to roll.
I have a bunch of predictions. I've got one that I consider a risky pick. There's probably a few risky ones in here. There's some that I think are probably too obvious that I won't include. But we can clarify that as we go through.
That sounds good. All right. So I think last year we had me go first because I was the winner.
I actually think so I think we should have you go last, and then me and Max flip a coin for it. And I think that's probably the best way to go about it. So, Max, do you want to be heads or tails?
I'll be heads because I've got a big head.
Flip a coin. It's tails.
Okay. I can't see that, but I trust you.
It's tails.
I trust you.
It's tails.
Fine. I'm going last either way, so I don't care.
Okay, so it's me, then Max, then you. Okay.
Sounds good. All right, so Steve, what's your first prediction?
Okay, my first prediction is that Valve will release a new game. And I'm happy for you to say that this is maybe too obvious.
No,
but these people, these fuckers don't release a game often enough.
They haven't released a game in years, apart from Desk Job. So
clarifying question, I think for me is: does that mean Valve publishes a game, or Valve Valve internal studio releases a new game?
Have Valve ever published a game?
It's not themselves.
No,
I think they're all just.
But I don't like.
I don't think we need to clarify there. I think Valve releases a game they're a developer and a publisher, and they own the store.
Here's
if
the
a game comes out from Valve, it's a Valve publishing.
They have published games on other platforms, right? So, like, if they were to put out Half-Life Alyx on PlayStation 2 VR, for example, would that count?
No, that's not a new game.
Great. Okay.
It's a new game. I'll do a qualifier then. No re-releases.
Great. Okay. I think that's good.
So then if Alex
any reasoning
VR2,
there? Any reason that like you feel that, or
so there was like they had like a discussion in an interview, right, that they had multiple game projects that were looking at focusing on the Steam Deck underway, but we have no idea what the pipeline is there, what it looks like. I kind of feel like it's just time for them to release something fresh and something new. I am hoping it's a new IP. I know most people probably want another Half-Life game, but I really hope it's something new. Or I think it could be something that's on different hardware. Something like VR, for example. They might do another Half-Life Alyx 2 or something.
Sure. Cool. All right, Max, number 1.
I would like to go in with something that I want you to tell me if you think this is too soft, but I'm going to say that any new Nintendo hardware, like any sort of Nintendo Switch successor, will be fully backwards compatible with Switch software, digital and cartridges. The only qualifier there is if it comes out and it's just a Switch Pro, and therefore it's obviously gonna do it, then it still doesn't count. If it's like a new generation,
the next
console,
generation Nintendo console,
the next
generation Nintendo console, the Nintendo successor, console, Switch successor, whatever comes out, it's going to be fully backwards compatible with the Switch software. So DS to 3DS, not DS to DSi or DS to DS Lite.
So it's fully compatible with Switch
software, digital and cartridges. Unless you think I'm putting myself in a corner again by adding
because that's a 2-pointer then. So if it's only compatible with digital and not cartridges, you get the half point. If it's both, you get 1 whole point. If it's only cartridges, you get half point.
Cool.
I think that also just to me feels like clarifying language. Like I think when you say fully backwards compatible, my assumption is that it plays everything. On both ends, right?
Yeah, but if there's like a game that does not work on it, then I will be coming for you, Max.
Oh yeah, Yeah, he'll get partial credit. He said fully.
All right, okay. Whoa, hang on a minute. What about if? Yeah, no, because now I'm thinking of what if the dimensions of the Switch mean that Labo doesn't work, or the
I
controller
mean,
they
Labo
decide they
already
don't need.
doesn't work with some things. So do you want to have it excluding Labo?
I want to exclude Labo, and I want to exclude things that use specific features of the Switch, i.e., like if they don't put the IR blaster on the new Joy Cons, for example, and therefore 1-2 Switch doesn't work, but the game is still compatible. Like if you own a game, it will work on it. There's just features that maybe won't work.
I think instead of getting in the minutia, I think you just put in parenthetical within reason.
Okay, fine.
I'm fine to debate that at the time because I think something Labo makes sense to me is like that doesn't even work on the Switch Lite. So the idea that would be fully compatible.
Neither does Switch Sports. It just does not work. You can't.
So to me, like that's not necessarily a reasonable expectation for something like that because it's a gimmick add-on thing. I think what you mean is like the primary software library, right?
Yeah. Anything you own, you can
normal
download
games will work backwards.
But if I put, say, Breath of the Wild in and it comes up and it's like, sorry, you can't play this.
Then I would say no. Then it doesn't
count. Your Switch.
Yeah. If it's not on the store or the cartridge literally doesn't fit in the thing, then yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. I like that. Okay. The first couple are always the ones that I find the toughest because I have a lot of predictions I think are very good, but it's also like, what are the ones I think you might try to go for that
I'm trying to
get out.
I pick the easy ones.
Okay, I got one. I guess we'll just use this as the naming convention from moving forward for the Switch 2 because I imagine we'll have a few more. The next generation Nintendo console will launch with a standard retail of $70 for console games. So you know what I mean by that, right? Like the standard cost of a boxed game is going to raise to $70.
That's how much Tears of the Kingdom cost.
Right.
It was, but surely they've already set the standard.
But that wasn't the standard. They said that was a case by case basis. Was the one.
Pikmin came out after that at 60.
Yeah.
So if they come out and it's $70, are we saying it's $70 US and that's the only country we're looking at? Are we going to look at other countries and see what they do?
I'm using that as the benchmark because that's the country I'm from and it's pretty consistent, right? Like it's like in this country, a full priced boxed game on a modern console costs $70. In Europe, it's consistently what it is. In the UK, it's consistently what it is, right? So I'm saying that Nintendo is going to increase the price of their games to match what has become the AAA standard across the board, right?
Like, what if the launch title
use the eShop as the guidance baseline here? So if the game is listed on the eShop for $70, like Tears of the Kingdom is, then we can use that as the kind of benchmark.
If the game that comes out,
no offense, guys, but you guys are the only region in the world where that digital physical disparity exists. I think, like, that's
all of Europe is like that, and I think Australia is too. I think the US is really in the minority.
That happens with there as well, where there's a $20 difference between physical.
It's not necessarily a $20 difference, but the physical copy is always cheaper. Yeah,
because there's competition. There's stores that want to compete with each other.
Fair enough. Fine, then we'll digital.
Okay, MSRP.
I think it's safe to say that most people would say that the cost of AAA games rose to X amount this generation, right? Nintendo's going to match that now. Is what
How many games need to launch for us to know that a standard has been set and it's not just it happened to launch with Breath of the Wild remastered and therefore it's all like a game.
And maybe they do the cheaper games, right? Because like we have seen them do that with Switch Sports that came out at a cheaper price point.
I mean, I think that would answer the question though. Then, right? Like if they release multiple games at launch and they're not all at $70, or like if one of them is less than $70 and the rest are all $70. Then we've established what the standard is for AAA games and that there are some games that cost less than that, but that was already the case, right? Like, but those games will probably increase in price too, the same way that Miles Morales cost $40 on PS4, and now that kind of game costs $50 on PS5, right?
I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I'm fine with that.
Steve, number 2.
I'm just having a look. See which one I want next. I think this one, excluding remasters or re-releases, PlayStation will release no more than 3 PS5 games in 2024, and that's PlayStation Studios.
Excluding, you're saying, so it's 3 new games. You're saying, yeah.
Correct. So the Last of Us Part 2 remaster, I don't think I would count as a new PS5 game.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. I had this one myself, so I'm okay with it. I don't know about you, Pete, but
yeah, I mean, I don't see any problem with that. That they will release
that's
no more
than
than
2 or
3.
1 game this year. Yeah, that'll be it from PlayStation Studios, excluding remasters or re-releases. Oh, sorry, I put it in the wrong.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that. I think that's maybe a bold prediction, but
they released 1 PS5 game this year, excluding PSVR 2.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it.
Right, but you wouldn't exclude PSVR 2 in this if you.
Okay, but if you include PSVR 2, they released 2. They released Horizon Call of the Mountain. They released Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna make more than that this year. I think it's gonna
maybe not,
continue to be
I'm
3
okay
or
with
fewer.
this. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they don't have anything else really announced right now, right? We know that
We know
Helldivers
Venom's coming, but that's
and
it.
Helldivers 2.
But
right?
that's not PlayStation Studios game.
Yeah, it is though. It's
They don't own that studio.
No, but it's under the PlayStation Studios banner. It's being published as that, isn't it?
Yeah, we talked about this before, didn't we, on the show? Helldivers
You're
2,
saying
it is
PlayStation
on Steam.
Studios, which is why I'm being pedantic.
So
it is coming to Steam at launch.
Talking about PlayStation Studios' first-party games. So if say Bungie releases a game, I don't think that counts.
Then you should. Oh.
Yeah, so
but then
it's being published
any game
by
published
Sony?
with the PlayStation Studios logo on it counts though.
No, like MLB The Show, I don't consider either.
That is one though. So like you can't. Like we have to come up with a line that isn't just vibes based.
Put PS5 exclusive. Say PS5 exclusive then. Because
Okay.
Helldivers 2 is coming to Steam, MLB The Show is coming to Xbox and Switch,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, but we can't not count those games because they're coming to other platforms, right?
it does if he says PS5.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
5 exclusives.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's fair. Okay, so excluding remasters or re-releases, they will not release more than 3 PS5 exclusive games in 2024.
PlayStation Studios right now.
I would 5 just in case.
I was gonna say I would add that caveat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if it's a game that also releases on PS4, that should count for you.
Oh, I don't see them doing that anymore.
Well, we're helping you out.
Yeah, I think
right. Okay, let's say PlayStation console exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile distinction because I wouldn't be shocked if a smaller game came to PS4, right? And that would not be fair to you, I don't think.
But Bungie is also not owned by PlayStation Studios. They're just owned by Sony Interactive. They are not part of that umbrella.
They're not part of the PlayStation Studios family.
I've put not in PC there just because I know that next year, if we forget about this conversation and a game comes out, we're going to say, well, it is console exclusive because it's only on PlayStation, even though it's also on PC. But I think, we're
I would say that counts as a re-release on PC.
Yeah, but I'm talking like Helldivers 2 is also on PC, therefore it wouldn't count, right? Just because Sony are publishing it, it just has to be on PC. Right, shall I get to my second one then? Now we're
number 2.
With that? Okay, so my one is related to that. A 2020 PlayStation Studios game will be released on PC. Re-released on PC is what I've written down here.
Which one are you thinking?
2020 PlayStation Studios game. Okay.
I've got 3 in mind. I've put 2020 to sort of cover myself there in case.
Okay. What game do you think is going to be?
The 3? I've got either Demon's Souls, The Last of Us Part 2, or Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, we know The Last of Us Part 2 is coming, don't we?
Do we? No.
Yeah, they announced the PC version with the PS5 release.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
I
don't know if it's coming this year. They might not have announced a date. So you could still get it if they haven't.
Can I ask a clarifying question while Max makes this? Are we allowed to have and/or statements?
I need an example, really.
Okay, my next prediction, I've got one.
Yeah.
We'll get there in a second then, because I've got here. So, will Last of Us Part 2? There's been no official announcement. We think The Last of Us Part 2 will release on PC, but there's been no actual announcement from.
Okay, that's fine. Well, then, if it's not been announced, then that counts. But we'll just, I guess we'll see if anything else from 2020 rocks out.
I would just put in parenthetical, excluding games that have been announced as of 1/8. So if we find that ends up being the case, then we know that was the clarifying.
Yes, yeah. I'm seeing here. There is no information. They've not announced a PC port of The Last of Us Part 2 at all. It's just the remaster.
I think
There's speculation based on the fact that the part 1 came to PC, but there's no
Yes.
official announcement. And that even then, that might not even come out until next year at this rate because they have like a year break sometimes, don't they?
It also,
So
It was
like,
like
when
6
it released,
months between the PS5 and the PC version of that game. I
it
can
was a
imagine it's
mess,
probably
though.
6 months of this one.
So you gotta imagine they're gonna wanna take a
I
little
would
more
hope
time.
that the most of that was like a mess with the engine, and they've kind of tidied that up, and they
Yeah,
can kind
maybe.
of bring it over. But yeah, you're right. It was an absolute disaster at launch, and I hope that they don't do the same thing again.
cool.
Yeah, I think they're gonna not want it. They're gonna wanna not repeat that
It's a bad
mistake.
look.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got no
Um,
issue with Demon Souls or Ghost of Tsushima though, right?
no, I
Cool.
think
No, unless
I
they don't.
They've not been
It is
announced. There's no announcement. There's
yeah.
no
no, they've
formal
not been announced. I think that's totally legitimate, and
Yeah.
I think that that's a good prediction because
The only thing is like if they're not publishing Demon Souls, like if FromSoft is just like
it's
fuck
developed
it,
by
we're gonna be
Blueprint, though.
like.
Blueprint is owned by Sony,
But if
right?
it's the FromSoft version and not like the Blue
Oh
Point
yeah, well,
version,
but if they released the FromSoft version for 2009, that's not a 2020
mm,
PlayStation game, is
okay.
it? That is, or Sony Interactive game. That is a 2009 From Software game.
you're right. Also, was published by PlayStation, so like I'd entertain an argument that you deserve partial credit even in that case because PlayStation
Okay.
did put it out and it was a PlayStation exclusive game. It's
But
always been a PlayStation exclusive game. It's
I've
never been on a console
specified
that wasn't on PlayStation.
I've specified 2020 though in the
You're
thing.
right. You're
So
right. You're right. All right, fair enough. I think yeah. Okay. Sounds like we got it figured out. Okay. My number 2, this has an and/or statement. So I'm interested, if we got to get some concessions to push this deal through. It's an Xbox one, so they're used to that. Uh Xbox will release a mobile SKU of Game Pass and or Xbox mobile store to take advantage of their mobile library. Their new mobile library, right? Post the King acquisition. You have to put that in there. That's just context.
yeah. So what was the first bit again? Sorry, mobile game
Basically,
pass.
the reason I have it as an and/or is because I think it will probably be both. Is that
Yeah.
I think that they will have a mobile SKU of Game Pass, so there will be like a mobile Game Pass app that you can use to play their games, similar to like Apple Arcade, and that they right and/or that they'll put out a Xbox mobile game store that would rival like the Google Play Store and the Apple Store in light of some of the litigation that's been going on and how those storefronts can now operate, right? Like Microsoft has a huge library of mobile games. I think that they're going to want to find a way to sell them to the Xbox crowd that's as a part of the Xbox ecosystem. And I think that either, and again,
Okay.
maybe not either or, I think it's probably both. You want to have a way to sell them a la carte, which will be through your storefront, like the Microsoft store. And then if you want to have the streaming option, you can join Game Pass. That's where
I
I'm.
don't think I want the and/or. It's either it's the problem is, right, is it's like it's 2 predictions, but it's sort of not, and like
So the reason I think it's fair is that if one doesn't come to pass, then I get half points, right? Is that
yeah, I guess so. So okay, so Xbox will launch a mobile Game Pass. Will launch mobile Game Pass and or a mobile app store, a mobile game app store.
yeah. I don't know though. Yeah, I guess. Hmm.
You could say they add a bit because there's an Xbox app, right, that has Game Pass because you can stream from it. What about could you not just say like Xbox? Because everything will be if you have Game
Are you,
Pass,
are you
that'll be
specifically
included in
talking
mobile,
like
right?
mobile games though? So it's not like I'm playing my Xbox games on my phone because you can already do that through
Yeah, it's
streaming.
like the games
It's
that are
like I
in
can
the
play
King
Candy Crush.
library will become a part of
Okay,
Game
so
Pass as a part of because I basically
Game
what I'm
Pass
saying is,
for
and maybe this is
mobile.
the rephrasing of it, right? Is that like Xbox is going to reveal what their play is for mobile, right? And it's one of these two things is my thought, right? But like I don't know that it's fair that I should be chastised if they pick
No,
one of
I just I think I'm fine with that. I just want to clarify. So Xbox will launch Game Pass for mobile games like Candy Crush and or a mobile game app store.
yeah, that's basically the thing is I think that
Yeah.
they're going to find a way to monetize these mobile games that they
The
own
issue I
now
have
as
with
part
the
of the Xbox ecosystem. You know?
so the issue I have with the and or, right, is it makes it seem like if they do one of the things, you get a whole point, but if it's but I personally think it should be like if they do both of them, you get a whole point, or you can get half points. I think the or should go, and it should be an and. Is my issue with it? It's either the and or the or. Because
Yeah, I think
otherwise you are you're gonna get like a whole point if they do only one of the things is how it reads.
an or is you could get a point for for either one here. So an
Yeah.
and means you get a half point if one of them's right, you get a full point if both are right. I think and or is cheating it a little bit. Or is specifically like making two completely different statements. I know they're similar, but it's two statements for you to get 1 point for either of them right. Whereas all of our ones are if we get half of it right, we get half point.
So it's whether
And
you wanna
if
like
both come to
hedge your
pass, then
bet.
I get 1 point, right?
You get a full
You get
point,
a
yeah.
1
Full
point.
point
So
for
if you
one,
do the
half point,
but they do both of them, then you get
full point.
1 point. But if only one of them works, then you get half a point.
Which is how we've done the rest of the questions so far, and it's what we've agreed to, I think. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay. That sounds fair.
So and
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because if we're doing or, then you can argue a full point for each side of the or, which
mhm.
I think
isn't
I was putting that in there because I think the and to me implies that it will definitely be both, right? And
Yeah, yeah, I know. But like if they do both, then you get the whole point. If they only do
yeah,
one,
yeah.
this way you
That's
get half a point.
it makes sense. It makes sense. I think now that it within the format we're trying to phrase questions, like
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
Cool.
Steve,
so
number 3.
my next one. PlayStation will formally pivot away from live service games. For example, it will be reflected in investor relations presentations. They'll announce more game cancellations, etc.
What did they
Yep.
shy away didn't they do something similar? Was it
They haven't
there was a
formally
topic, right?
pivoted away. They canceled
Ah, okay.
the Last of Us project, right? And there's conversation uh, about the fact that there's rumors basically that interiorly they are deciding that this is no longer the direction to go because you
Yep.
see all the volatility basically, and that as we're moving into the recession, that we're going to want to be moving away from those kind of risky
Yep.
strategies. Seems to
Fine.
be
Yep.
the line of thinking. But I think Steve's point here is that there will be a paper trail to show that that is their
Yeah, whereas like
formal.
last year it said they're going to release like 20 live service games. This year we
They
might
were
see
gonna
there's
dedicate,
3.
what, $2 billion plus
Yeah.
into development of those titles. I think that's all gonna get pulled back. I agree. That was one of my predictions that, you beat me to the punch on. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. Now, this one I was gonna say next. Unfortunately, like half an hour before the show, this actually seemed to come online as a rumor. So I'll
What
say
is it?
it.
What is it?
Um, that there'll be a Xenoblade Chronicles X Switch port or the successor. There'll be a Xenoblade Chronicles X from the Wii U will be available ported to, remastered, whatever, on the Switch or its successor. However, there's been a rumor that that might be happening this year now. That's come out half
Announced
an
or
hour before the show.
released?
I was going to say,
I
I would
think
say announced.
I think if there's
Yeah.
a rumor announcing that, then you're
Yeah, it's
kinda
the thing is I wrote this before the rumor came out, so I just wanted to lay
okay.
it out there, but
I don't know.
I
What do
will
you think,
delete
Steve?
it. No, I'm happy to delete it if
Well,
that's the case.
I've not seen the source for this, and I've searched for Xenoblade Chronicles X rumor, and it seems to be stuff from like July last year.
Oh,
That
oh.
it's going to be in April 2024 is the last time you can play online, so they're going to bring that over to Switch. Um, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I'm happy for you to make a bet on whether it's released or announced or both.
I'm gonna say announced. Does it if it's announced and released? If I say announced and they announce it, don't release it, are you gonna take a point from me or what?
No, if they announce it, I think they've announced it and then they've released it. But if you say released and then they
Yeah, and then
they
they
don't
announce it, then you
release
don't get
it,
a point.
I'm going
yeah.
for announced.
Okay.
What console are we saying this is coming to?
I said either the Nintendo Switch or its successor because I do, there's no guarantee that either's gonna
Oh, so
happen
we're going
yet.
with an or. Okay.
So, well, no, that's not an or. No.
No, I mean, you have to. You just made me do this.
No, because it's whatever the it's gonna be announced for a modern Nintendo system then. Let's specify
Do
that if
you
that's what we
think?
wanna do.
Okay, so you
I.e.
can just end it with Xenoblade Chronicles X will be announced. Like a Xenoblade
Why don't you
Chronicles
say
X
yeah?
re-release
Yeah,
will
that's
Yeah,
be
okay.
okay,
announced.
fine. Alright, fine.
That's fine. Oh, I got so many good ones. Mm, okay. All right. Am I up?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Okay. So Okay, I've got one. There will be one announced video game acquisition deal that will break the top 10 most expensive of all time, meaning it will need to be valued at over 2.5 billion or more. And I'm saying it'll be announced. The intent of the deal will be announced. That means it doesn't have to close within this calendar year, but that a studio or a company will express intent to purchase a major, as part of a major $2.5 billion deal, a video game studio. So we'll have a top 10 most expensive game acquisition of all time. There's a couple reasons.
So are we saying it's a game, it's a studio? Are we
It doesn't
saying it's an
matter.
IP
I'm saying that there will
acquisition?
be an acquisition, right? And I think that that's more than fair because I'm saying it's going to be for a very specific amount of money. So like
more than 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
US dollars, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean we can look at the list, right? Like it's an observable number. That $2.5 billion is the 11th most, so that's the 10th most right now or whatever. So I'm saying that one will come in and enter the top 10 of most expensive of all time, biggest acquisitions. I think there's a couple reasons for that,
So the cheapest was 2 billion, which is Facebook's acquisition of Oculus in 2014 in that top 10. So it would need to be more than $2 billion if you want to say that.
Then yeah, throw that there. So like interest rates are set to drop, right? And a bunch of these big tech companies just laid people off. They're going to be looking to acquire more assets to, try and weather the storm and make sure that, they are, safe from acquisition or, decline themselves. And I think there's a lot of companies that could make this pickup, and that pretty much any, big publisher that owns IP,
I'm not holding you to it, but do you have any in your mind that you were thinking when you were thinking of this?
I do. I think, I called out a couple last year that I think are candidates, right? Ubisoft, Square Enix, EA even, I think any of those companies are ripe for being acquired by a much bigger company. Just because again, right? Like we've seen Netflix has been talking about how they want to get more money out of their video game business. They want to double down on that. They just spent a bunch of money to get Grand Theft Auto, right? Like the idea that they could come in and buy a studio like, a Square or somebody like that, because they have IP that is valuable, I think makes a lot of sense. And, you could copy and paste that to all these other companies that have kind of dipped their toe into video games like Amazon or whatever, right? Disney even, right? Like we've seen this kind of thing happen before. And as you move into, recessions or times of economic volatility, you have a lot of these mid-sized companies. Like that's what happened with Square Enix, right? Like they were two small mid-sized companies that merged into a big one so that they could be healthy enough to survive, right? Or those companies get bought, or they make enough money to get bigger. That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Okay.
I think now that the dust is settled on the Microsoft thing, people are going to be ready to spend money.
Yeah, I think it depends on the country. I don't think I don't know. It's a lot of money, and I struggle to see someone like Tencent buying like a US company. I struggle to see a lot of acquisitions getting through the FTC at the moment, but then they had fuck all to stop Microsoft. So
that's the thing is you have a precedent set there now, right? That was a huge multi-billion dollar acquisition. How can they possibly make an argument that if some such company wants to come and make an acquisition like PlayStation did with Bungie, right? That didn't have any resistance. It was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And they spent $3 billion on them, right? It's like, okay, that's not crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Epic could easily spend that kind of money. There was a point where they're making $1 billion a month on Fortnite, right? Like they could spend that kind of money if they wanted to. We've got a lot more predictions for you in just a second here, but before we do that, let me remind you that this episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of January. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Snacky Go, Steve Stompy, Susan Loves Cats and also Boobies, Ty the Dude, and Waka Hula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/FlipScreenGames. You're all the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. Speaking of those sister shows, if you want to go check them out, if you want to go show your support, just like all those fine folks did, or if you just want to get involved in the community and keep the conversation rolling in between episodes, guess what? You can do all that and much more by heading over to our website, FlipScreen.games, where you will find links to all the ways that you can get involved with the community and show your support for the show all around the web. However you choose to get involved or show your support, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast. Let's get back into
it. Okay, so I have the next one then. So the rumored refreshed Xbox console is real, but it will feature a way to play physical discs.
Okay, so you think there will be a refresh of the Xbox series of consoles and it will have a disc drive?
So the leak was there was a Series X refresh and it wasn't going to have called Brooklyn, and it wasn't going to have a disc drive. It was going to be a cylinder shape and it was going to be all digital. I think there will be a way to play physical discs, whether that's like a tack-on drive like the PlayStation 5 is doing, whether they've rethought the design and put a drive in there. I think the backlash from people who saw it and was like, damn, okay, it's pretty crazy.
I like that. Okay. I think that's good. I'm sorry, I have one other thing because you asked me the question and I just remembered. You know who's another person that could buy a big company? Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot of money in Nintendo, haven't they?
Yeah, and Tencent and a couple other companies, and they've been trying to diversify the country's economy outside of oil. So video games seem to be one of their targets, and they've obviously it's a government.
They got a little bit gun shy though with Embracer. They were in bed with them, and that deal fell through.
Yeah, but who's to say that that's because Embracer's a shit company, not because they weren't looking to buy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they want to court somebody who they think is a little more together. We'll see. All right, Max,
what's your number 4?
Is it me or is it you now? Well, you just been.
You just went. I jumped back in because I
Sorry, yeah. So I don't want to keep doing Nintendo ones, but I feel like my Nintendo ones are my best ones.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to say that we will revisit a classic Pokemon region on the Switch or its successor. So, in video games, we will revisit a classic Pokemon region on a Nintendo console this year.
In a new game.
Doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be a. I've worded it as a way that it could be like we will return to Johto, we return to Kanto, because it could be a remake, it could be a Let's Go, it could be a Legends. Like we will return to whether it be Kanto, Johto.
My thing is, right, are we saying this includes like the Pokemon games coming to Switch Online as a
this would have to be
no, yeah, it has to be a reimagining, I guess, then. So it can't be a port, it's a reimagining of the region, whether that's in a Let's Go, in a
I don't know. I feel
if
like
you don't like it, that's fine.
I don't know. I think it feels like you're maybe backing yourself in a corner again, right? Because it's like this. So basically, you're saying that they'll put out a game this year that's either a remake of an old game or a Let's Go style or Arceus.
They're going to put out. Well, no, they're going to put out a new game this year that takes place in an older generation. And it could be any of those things.
So, but like you're saying, like if they did a remake of Black and White 2, that wouldn't, or Pokemon Black and White, right? That wouldn't count.
Older generation. Yeah, it's an older generation.
I think that counts.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like they can't just put out Black and White on a virtual console style thing.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not talking like, I'm not saying a classic region is in like has to be the first 3 or the first 4 or whatever. I mean, we'll revisit a region.
We're revisiting a region through a re-release. That's fine. I want to nail down the language there because I feel like you have so many SKUs of products that
I don't think a virtual console or like that kind of port will work. But if it's something like the examples I'm giving of a remake Let's Go or a Legends is because that's what already exists. But if they do like another Nintendo game, but it happens to take place in that region, one of the previous regions, then
okay, why don't we say why don't we clarify that that is encompassing of any game that is like quote unquote mainline. So it's like not like if they make new Pokemon Snap 2 and there's levels in Johto, that wouldn't count, right? You're saying it'll be
I think that would count personally.
I think that's too broad then, because then you're basically just saying that there will be a Pokemon game that features a moment where you're not in the like whatever the newest region
I
is.
think
And
the
I think that
prediction
feels like
could be. I think the prediction could be they'll release a new Pokemon game. Like we've got nothing announced. Like that is a valid prediction.
no, is it though? I mean, all right, okay, fair enough. You're right. There isn't one announced, but to me, that feels a little bit like there will be a Call of Duty.
That feels a bit too obvious. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what you're saying, though,
Okay.
because the new Pokemon game and its DLC just came out. They're obviously not putting out a new game this year. So what's the next thing in the cycle? It's a remake, which I'm fine with that if what we're saying is it's a standard like a mainline Pokemon game. But if we're saying
Let's
any
say a
Pokemon spinoff counts,
Pokemon RPG. Like, are you happy with that? Like a Pokemon RPG?
that's better. That's better.
Okay, fine.
Because then it's not. That doesn't count whatever random fucking spinoff could come out that happens to have a shot of Pallet Town or something. It's like
yeah.
I think that's just a little too all encompassing.
So the wording I've got, there will be a new game, remaster or remake of a Pokemon RPG that visits a classic region released in 2024.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
Pete, your next one, you're number 4.
Dude, so many good ones still. Okay. 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 This is one that I think is a good prediction, but maybe not a super spicy one. The Steam Deck will not release in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Big apologies to all the Australian Steam Deck listeners, of which I know there are many. I don't think this game comes out, or I'm sorry, the console comes out in Australia. It's been 2 years since release. I don't think it's coming. I wouldn't hold your breath.
I disagree. I think this is going to be an EB Games by the end of the year. I do think it's coming to Australia. I think it's too big of an English speaking market. I'm not doing a counter take on it. I've got other ones.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
So my next one is the next Nintendo console will not be called Switch 2. I think it's going to be called something else, but I don't think it's going to be called Switch 2.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to use the number 2.
I don't know about this because there's no precedent for Nintendo doing 2s, is there? Or it's always a different name?
No, but I think that's fine. There's no precedent for them calling something the new until they make, it's like, I think you're making a bet on what it's going to be called. I think that's reasonable.
Well, it's making a bet on what it's not going to be called, though.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, fine. No, because Switch 2, like, why do we think it's going to be called the Switch 2 anyway? For that to be a up for discussion.
Because it's the successor to the Switch, and like the Switch brand is so strong. I don't think they want to lose the Switch brand. Switch 2 makes a logical sense, but maybe you're right.
There was also a problem. There was a problem of converting audiences from the Wii to the Wii U because there was brand confusion, and I could see Nintendo being like, "We don't want to relive that, and we are going to make another console that's in the." I don't know. I don't have a problem with it, but if Max feels touchy about it,
if Max does, I can swap it out for another one. I've got another one. It's no problem. We can swap that one out.
Okay. I just feel like it's you're picking loads of things from picking one thing from loads of potential options and saying it's not going to be this one when there's no evidence pointing towards it being that one in the first place. I guess that's just but
fair enough.
It's fine. So I got another one then. A new play date will be announced with a backlit screen.
That's nice. I can see that.
Fun. Good one. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's finally just now. It's in stock. It's not on back order anymore. And I think they're ready for the next one. It's been a while. Let's announce like a new season of games. And the biggest complaint everyone had with that thing was, I can't see the thing.
Couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one. Okay.
You're up next.
The new Nintendo console will not be called the Switch 2.
You know what? I'll give it to you.
My next one is, I'm not going to do Nintendo. I'm going to say there will be a new new piece of hardware or peripheral from Valve.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I had this on mine.
I think that makes sense, right? We know that they've had the successor to their VR headset in the works for a while. I could see that being this year.
Announced or released?
Let's say announced for safety. I am saying a piece of hardware, as in like if they did an updated dock, a peripheral. I add all peripheral in there just to cover that. If there's a new dock or a new controller.
That's encompassing. I would say that counts as hardware.
All right, fine. Cool.
Controller, anything like that.
Does a minor refresh to the Steam Deck count? Like, are you going to be saying
I would say yes.
They put like, you know,
if
an
it's
internal fan change again,
Oh,
and
no,
they don't
no.
announce
If it's like a different SKU or whatever people say, yeah. Because if it's just like, the OLED is different, but like we happen to get our
like,
Steam Decks
say
at
we
different
now
times, so
have
we've got different.
a 2 terabyte OLED model, but it's
That would count as
ostensibly the
new.
same thing.
No, I'd say that counts as new.
Yeah, and I would also say maybe that if they release the OLED, the OLED Steam Deck, and they follow through with their thing of like, maybe we'll release other colors. Where do we lay on that if they do?
I think if it's like a push where they're like, we're doing a line of colorways, I'd say that counts probably.
We can argue that at the end of the year. Maybe.
I struggle with that because that's like saying the PlayStation Special Edition Spider-Man one was a new PlayStation piece of hardware, and it's not. It's just it's a limited edition console.
I guess you're right, but like,
fine. I'm okay with Steve. Yeah, I'm okay with that, Steve. So colors and versions of the OLED don't count. I'm also going to say the 2 terabyte doesn't count either.
If you want to give it an I think you could say hardware and accessories, and then it would count either way.
No, because it's not an accessory. It's like it's a limited edition colorway of an existing piece of hardware.
Yeah. So colorways and variations of the OLED don't count. So variations of what currently exists don't count.
I mean, you could do there will be a new piece of hardware and colorway or something. And
no, I'm just saying.
Like,
it's one point if there's a new piece of hardware, if it's a controller or anything like that. If it's a version of the OLED that currently exists, we're talking colorway. We're talking new amount of thing. If they do like a entry level version of the OLED that's just got less thingy in there, less like data. What the hell am I trying to say? Storage. I don't think that counts. But if it's like
I think it counts if it's a new SKU. I think if they were like, we now revealing the 2 terabyte Steam Deck and that gets added, that counts to me, I think.
Okay, fine. Just colors then.
Yeah, because that is a refresh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, like there's nothing to announce if it's a whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Right? Like if you're announcing that there's a new version of the Nintendo Switch now with improved battery life, it's still a new model of hardware. It's just not a new console. But that's not what you said. You didn't say they're going to release a new, a successor. You said they're going to release a new piece of hardware, which I think that's fair.
I put excluding limited edition colorways on because they have announced that they were considering doing other ones anyway.
I'm down to say that doesn't count because it's not different enough and it's a shell. That's fine. But I think if there's new, functionality that gets added to the lineup,
like it's got a Wi-Fi 7 chip instead of 6E because that got announced. It's got certification this week. Yeah.
To me, that counts.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, Pete, you're next.
See, don't say I never worked for you, Max.
Thank you, man.
Oh God, Steve left. He's in full-on protest.
Does he know he's left?
I'll be right back.
Okay,
someone type in the dog.
I'll do the typing.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry, that threw me for a second, folks.
We lost him last week when we were doing this, so
he can't handle it. He's getting out of the kitchen. Okay. Okay, hold on. I had one and that threw me for a second. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay. Okay. I've got one. I think that the Steve's prediction about like the kind of decline of games as a service. I think you're gonna see that impact the people who are like the kings on the hill right now by them following what the success of Fortnite OG and WoW Classic, and that you'll see at least one other major games as a service release a nostalgia bait event or game mode to try and re-engage,
you're gonna
existing
have to
or lost
on top of this. You're really gonna have to keep on top of this.
This happened last year, right? With Fortnite
OG, and then there was WoW Classic before that. I think there's a clear precedent for it, and I think as these games are struggling to maintain player bases, as folks get a little bit more pinchy with their pennies, this is an easy way to bring people back in. That could be like Call of Duty Warzone doing a season 1 throwback that could be, pulling in old maps from an old
Overwatch.
game or whatever, right? Like it's going to be, hey, like we are bringing back an old game mode or an old launcher to give you the quote unquote old school classic whatever experience, similar to what we saw with Fortnite OG and WoW Classic.
You're going to have to convince us of this at the end of the year, though, because I'm not going to, I don't pay enough attention to games as a service stuff to know this is going to happen. And then at the end of the year, we can argue whether we count that one as a major games as a service game or that is what that was.
I think if it's old enough to have a classic game mode to try and bait nostalgia, it counts as what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, would you have counted Fortnite in that if they hadn't already done it? If Fortnite did it this year, would you have said?
Yeah, that would definitely count. What do
Yeah,
you mean?
so that's old. No, as in, like you said, it has to be old enough to.
Yeah, that's my point, though, right? Is Fortnite is old enough to have people have nostalgia for season 1.
Yeah. All right,
that
fine.
proves that it's established. You know?
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Because I think any games as a service that exists for several years is quote unquote major, right? Like by my estimation. And if that's going to be a point of contention, then take out major. It'll be at least one game as a service, and that'll be my prediction.
No. You're. I'm fine with major.
Because it's like Warframe is like that, right? Like Warframe is a major games as a service, but I don't know anyone who plays it anymore, but it makes millions of dollars a year and people are playing it. So like, yeah, I think this is going to be a wave now of as these games struggle to maintain relevance, they're going to be like, hey, wouldn't you like to jump back into this game that you used to play? Nostalgia.
It's a powerful drug, nostalgia.
It is.
Powerful moneymaker too. Steve?
Yeah, I got a bunch, and I'm not sure where to go next. So I'm gonna say Hollow Knight Silk Song will finally be released.
Take one of mine. I'm taking it off the list.
Crazy. It's like one of those ones you just say it every year, right? And eventually it'll have to be.
Eventually it sticks,
do you remember in June of 2022 when Xbox said every game featured in this thing will be released in the next 12 months? And then someone said, do you mean Silk Song's coming out in the next 12 months? And they said, we said what we said. And then in like March, Team Cherry were like, nah, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It's
Sorry.
not going to happen.
It'll come eventually, though.
I mean, this year's what, 6 years, 7 years since Hollow Knight was released. So
oh my God.
It's been a while.
I played Silk Song.
So crazy.
In 2019. So nearly 5 years ago, I played this game that, it still isn't out. What's going on? Obviously a pandemic, but still, like, what's going on? Obviously a pandemic, but what's going on?
Trying to avoid a sophomore slump too.
Apart from the pandemic, what's going on?
What if it's ready and they just saw that 2023 was just ridiculous?
That's possible.
And they're like,
that would be totally reasonable.
Nah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would do that if I was them. I'd be like, fuck it. We've been waiting for 6 years. Who cares? They can wait 6 more months.
It's like, you know what? If we release it in 2024, we could be in that Game of the Year slot.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm going to revisit a classic from last year, but I'm going to mix it up based on previous experience. I'm going to say that the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC won't release in the first, if I say quarter of this year, is that too tight?
So the quarter is the first 3 months. So you're saying won't release until at least April.
If you want me to extend that, I can extend that, but
your choice. I don't really mind. I mean, I could see this thing not dropping at all this year.
Yeah, I think it's so far out from where I thought it would be that at this point you saying it'll launch at any time doesn't feel like a sure thing. So the idea that you being like it won't come in the next I guess the only thing that's weird about that is we're already in January, but that's also the kind of thing that they don't necessarily have to like amp up. They could be like, hey, it's coming out in 6 weeks, and that could happen. So,
or it could be at like another event, like there's a rumored Microsoft event with the developer direct. There's probably
that's true.
This could be a great thing. Saying Nintendo announces a new Switch, and it's like, oh, Elden Ring's now on it. You can play that before, and also the DLC's coming, and you can get like a gold version, like a Game of the Year edition.
I could see that being a thing. Has that come to Game Pass yet? Elden Ring? No. I could see that being a thing at the Xbox event where they're like, hey, Elden Ring's coming to Game Pass. And by the way, the DLC's out today.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Could happen. I think that's fine.
All right, you're next, Pete.
Ooh. 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 Getting down to the last couple.
Can I quickly just clarify? If it doesn't release at all in 2023, I still get that, right?
No.
No, it has to come out in this year.
Has to come out this year.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
So it won't release until at least April 2024, but
Will
release in 2024.
Yeah.
There's a half point up for grabs in there, I must say.
There is a half point.
Yeah,
up for
there
grabs.
is. Yeah, there is for sure.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, my prediction is that Starfield will get a major expansion. A large.
No, we know that.
It's already been announced.
Yeah, we know that.
Shit! It has a deal. Okay, damn. I knew they were working on one, but I didn't know that it had a release date for this year.
Yeah, I think they've got their DLC roadmap. It's called Shattered Space, and it's a big expansion that's coming out in 2024.
Apologies. Okay, I didn't know we had a date on that one yet. Okay. Fine. I'll hit you with another one. I think is a good one. Nintendo will release a 3D Mario game.
Okay.
We got a new console.
This was on my list as well.
We got a new console. We got coming hot off the heels of the movie and Mario Wonder. Mario's back. They're clearly trying to push him as much as they can right now. It's been 7 years since Mario Odyssey. The idea that Nintendo EAD has another Mario up their sleeve, I think, makes sense to me.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna say the PlayStation Portal will be updated to include cloud streaming.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
at the moment, that's
Yeah.
not possible.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm okay with that. I've got no
I think that's
problems
a
with
good
that.
one. All right, what do you got, bud?
I have. Now this might be a bit wordy. I'm going to say we will see a new or unreleased Metroid game this year, but the rumored Prime 2/3 masters don't count because the reason I've said new or unreleased is because Metroid Prime 4 has already been announced. So either we see Metroid Prime 4 or another new Metroid game this year, but it's not a remaster of the Prime 2 and 3, which we have had rumors are coming.
Okay, so we will see a new unreleased Metroid game in 2024, but not a remaster.
Yes. Not the
remake.
remasters of Prime 2 or 3, because if there's a super remaster or super remake or whatever, I'd like that to be counted as like a new unreleased
Remaster of Prime
2 and 3, because those are the
2
ones that
or
we currently
3,
Yeah.
they're sort of
heavily rumored.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense to me.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm realizing I haven't used any of my PlayStation ones, so I'm going to do this one. PlayStation will not announce a PlayStation VR 2 game from a first-party studio.
Can you imagine? All the people that had bought that thing have been abandoned.
Yeah, I really can imagine. The PlayStation Vita audience has some words for them. Words of condolence.
No, yeah, I had something similar. I said the PSVR 2 will continue to be largely ignored by PlayStation. But I won't go with that one. I can't decide what I want to go with.
I got a couple heaters left, but
yeah, me too. Like, there's one I really want to use, but I don't know.
You only got 2 left, man, before you're risky. So I mean, if you're gonna use it,
okay. An Xbox console exclusive will be considered for Game of the Year for the first time at the Game Awards. I went back and checked.
Really? There's never been an Xbox exclusive, huh?
Been a Xbox exclusive in the Game of the Year slot.
Okay.
At the Game Awards.
I love that. I think that's a good one.
I'm okay with that one too.
It kind of ties to one of my candidates for risky pick, and I like it.
This one is Capcom's Pragmata will not be released in 2024. It was 2022. They delayed it at 2023. They then delayed it again, but I think it's going to skip 2024.
Okay.
That's one I hope I get wrong.
Shit.
Because I really want to play that, see what that game is.
He's like, damn it, I had that one on my list. Pragmata's like my number one most hyped game.
All right. I have 2 that I have two that I feel like I want to go with. Okay, all right. This one I'm gonna say it might need some honing, so you let me know what you think of it.
Okay.
But I think more major licensed games will be continued will continue to be announced by AAA studios. So like what we saw with like Blade from uh Arcane, right? At the Game Awards.
Can we put a quantifier on
I'd
it,
like
like
to
a certain
quantify that. Yeah, like
number,
2
or
or
like
3 or something.
certain franchises, like which studios, stuff like that?
Should we go with 2?
So we'll see at least 2
2
new
announcements of new IP, like licensed IP games from from like a well-known studio.
So we'll see 2 new licensed games.
Right, like we got Star
And
Wars Outlaws last year, we got Blade, we got, it's like a lot of these studios that are like, some of them are critical darlings, whatever, right?
yeah.
A lot of them are working on licensed games now, and I think that's going to
Alright.
continue.
So, so if it's like a no, do you know what? I'm not gonna try and argue on this one at all. It's just yeah.
We're good with that then?
Yeah.
So we'll see 2 new licensed games from popular IP such as Star Wars or Marvel announced from well-known studios.
Yeah.
At least 2 should we put? Because if it's 3, I'm gonna be scrapping for that
Yeah,
point.
at
So just
least, at
wait
least.
for the You said
Okay,
2
cool.
and they did 4, so get fucked.
Okay.
Partial credit.
So my last solid one.
What's the last solid pick? Wow.
I know.
Oh god, my risky actually.
One of the ones I really liked that I have left is like very similar to one that Steve did in a way that I don't like. I have like a couple
What's
that are
that?
like, I'm not gonna do it. That there will be a continued decline and consolidation of live service games. Fewer live service games will be released. There will, or continued declines in revenue and or games shutting down. But I think that's very similar to the PlayStation one. It's like they're, it's like that's one of those ones. If you're right, then I'm right, and it's like that's boring.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm gonna say, mm, I don't know which one to go with. This is so
How many
tough.
have you left? How many have you left that you're thinking about?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 10. That's like 10 I could pick from.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna say a successor to the Steam controller will be revealed, but may not be made by Valve. So they spoke about potential like
Yeah,
partnerships
partnership.
that they'd be open to, stuff like that. I think maybe we see something. It might not be called a Steam controller, like it might be called a Steam Deck controller, it might be called something else, but we'll know when we see it that this is like a partnership or it's an actual controller that they're gonna release.
Okay, I like that.
The one I was gonna go with, and I don't think either of you have, is Bobby Kotick won't fuck off and will linger around the industry like a bad smell with a new job.
No, I think he's gonna take his money and run. I think he's done. He go work for another company, another industry or something. But I don't.
Yeah, that was one of my risky picks. Was he's this new CEO of PlayStation?
I could see him going to a company like
All their
Mattel
goodwill
or
down
like
there.
something like some other toy,
Mhm.
like some other like entertainment or movie studio or some shit like that. I don't know. Okay, Max, last one.
Last pick. Oh, okay. This one it says a Zelda remaster or remake will be released.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's good.
Now, can I? Now I'm going to talk myself out of the thing here.
Okay.
If they port Twilight Princess HD, Wind Waker HD, one of those two, are we going to count that? Or
Yes.
yeah,
If
fine,
it's a
cool.
remaster, then yeah.
We'll leave it where it is then.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay.
If they port Breath of the Wild to the next Switch, though, or the next Nintendo console, and it's not called Breath of the Wild Remastered, and it's just like the same game.
Yeah. If it's just like
but
updated,
if it is enhanced, then it counts, and I'll fight.
If it says remastered, like Metroid
or
Prime did,
deluxe
then
or
fine.
something,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Deluxe,
okay,
I don't
fine.
know. I struggle with that because that's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was just a rebrand.
I think it has to clearly be a remaster. Like it has to be like it's now 4K 60. Like it has to have that kind of branding, and I think we'll be able to agree
now
on
with
that.
funky
Whether
mode,
yeah. Okay. Okay, last one. Ooh. Okay, all right. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna do it. At least one major games as a service will follow Fortnite Festival and Lego Fortnite and release new game modes within their game to keep people invested. So if you're not familiar with what happened there, right? Lego Fortnite and Fortnite Festival are the two new game modes that came out like in the last couple of weeks, right? And they're like I mean, Festival is literally Guitar Hero, right? It's like a worse Guitar Hero.
they're doing the racing one as well. That's like Rocket Racing,
which is Rocket League, and it's literally made by Psyonix, which is the developer of Rocket League, right? So instead of releasing these as new games on the Epic Game Store, instead of releasing them as updates to like Rocket League, right? Like they're putting them in Fortnite because that's where the majority of their audience is. And again, right, as that moment, I think, in gaming wanes, you're going to see the Fortnites of the world trying to do stuff like this to keep people on the hook and keep them in the ecosystem and, and all that. And I think that there will be at least one other game that looks at what Fortnite did here and tries to replicate that success. And it kind of that like Web3, like, faux Ready Player One nonsense that everybody is trying to do, and really Fortnite's the only one that's actually doing it.
Okay, that's fine. So the word I've got is at least one major game as a service will follow Fortnite and release a new game within their existing game.
And I think let's just put IE Fortnite, Lego Fortnite, or whatever they want to festival.
Festival, Rocket Racing.
Yeah, that's fine. We know what I mean there.
Yes, but it's not like Halo's added, infected to
right. Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's more like there'll
totally
be a launcher within a launcher kind of thing. In the same way that like Fortnite used to be, do you want to play Battle Royale or Save the World? And now it's those and Lego Fortnite and this and that. And it's like, they're growing what the game is, basically. Might be a crazy one, but I think those games worked. So I think others will probably try to.
You better be paying attention to games at service this year, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, gotta watch for them points,
I had two like risky ones that I think are both really risky, which I think is the point of the risky pick. It's got to be like outlandish. So I had that Nintendo won't release a new console in 2024.
Yeah, that would be buck wild.
That was one of mine as well.
But I think the one I'm going to go with is Bungie will no longer be owned by PlayStation at the end of 2024.
Really? You think they're going to jump off again?
Yeah.
I don't know that they can because like
I don't think PlayStation want them. I think they'll flog them to Tencent or NetEase or someone else.
Maybe, but it's like, are they going to make that money back?
No,
probably
you
not.
just write it down. They've got rid of Jim Ryan. They cleared house. The strategy clearly didn't work. Let's get rid of the kind of
I don't know,
rotting
man.
fish. And
I could see them keeping them around and releasing one or two games and then liquidating them, probably. But I don't know.
Well, they've got thingy coming, haven't they? Runner, whatever it's called.
Marathon not coming this year. It's been delayed. So
I see.
And they delayed everything that is related to fucking
I have
Destiny.
not paid attention to this, apparently.
Yeah. They went through mass layoffs and like delayed the games, like laid off the whole community team. Like then it's not good times over at Bungie.
No.
And then Jim Ryan basically got fired. At least I think he got fired. He stepped down.
It also is worth pointing out that it doesn't seem like the staff that was laid off by Bungie, right? It was like they underperformed target revenue and then had to lay a bunch of people off, right? It wasn't like Nintendo was like, or I'm sorry, PlayStation was like, we bought you, we're gonna lay a bunch of people off. Like,
Yeah, I see this.
so
Should have
it's
It
not.
was no one's playing your game was the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
45%, a 45% drop in revenue from Destiny.
yeah.
And
That
there's
target
that.
being that much off is really scary for them. Like that is a really precarious position to be in.
So
But
I
like,
think you just get rid and then write it
maybe,
off, like
maybe,
like a Warner thing with the canceling of that movie or whatever.
yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right, but I don't know. I could see them sticking in the Bungie business for a year or two, pushing those games out so that you can get some return, and then being like, Bungie doesn't exist anymore, or sell it to the highest bidder. They've done
I
it
guess you could
before.
keep the IP and get rid of the studio.
That's true too. Sell the IP, try to make some of your money back.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, Microsoft, want to buy Bungie?
Hey, Microsoft, just wanted to pop in the DMs and ask you a quick question.
That nasty Jim Ryan's gone now, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
We're really sorry about what Jim said, but right.
That's a good one. I think that is definitely a bold prediction. But not so crazy that it could never happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, Max.
My risky pick. I've got two left then here up because Steve already said one of them.
You can have that one.
No, I'm all right. I'm gonna go with so this one is okay. The Switch successor will not release alongside a new IP, i.e. Wii Sports, Nintendo Land, and 1-2 Switch, which are the last three examples of that happening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
like that. That's a legit prediction.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
If there's not like a gimmick for it, like there was,
yeah,
maybe that doesn't make sense.
If it's just like if they're going to change their strategy a bit and focus on their core stuff, or just pure power or showing off doing third party stuff, there's all those options. New Nintendo IP, actually, let's just label that down. New Nintendo IP because the Switch.
I was going to say because Zombie U did launch.
Yeah, and also the Switch launched with like whatever the racing one was called, which was technically a new IP, even though it was a spiritual successor to something else. But
sure. Okay.
And I guess they had snipper clips as well, so that was new anyway.
That was they did have snipper clips actually, yeah.
So I've got a couple I didn't get to that I'll just go through real quick. One of them was that I couldn't really like figure out a way to formulate it, but I was trying to come up with something about how like inflation is going to be an ongoing issue and it's going to lead to more layoffs, but I couldn't quite like formulate it in a way that I was happy about, but I think that'll probably continue to happen. AI.
I had a subjective one like that. Oh, the AI. Yeah, I had an AI one and I was like, it's hard to say. We have a similar problem with the NFTs. It's like, it's hard to kind of quantify it.
Yeah, like that was going to be my point, was that like AI use in game development will be a major point of controversy among continued industry layoffs, right? Which is like probably observable whether or not that will happen, but it's so like, what does that mean? What is a major talking? It's like, I don't know. I had at least one high-profile cancellation rumor will come out as a result of further cost-saving measures, a la Time Splitters, The Last of Us multiplayer, which I guess wasn't technically cost-saving, but like it also kind of was. And the KOTOR remake, which is I think a good one. I just I had some others I liked better. I was gonna say X number of companies would release more handheld PCs as well. I just couldn't decide on what that number was, so I didn't go with that. And then my risky pick that I'm not going to go with because I don't think it's risky enough is that there will be a return for a popular mascot character like Spyro, Banjo, Crash, Rayman, or Mega Man. I think there's a rumor about a Banjo thing. There was the appearance of Rayman in the Rabbids sequel, and he was just in the Ubisoft cartoon that they had on Netflix. It's like there's a lot of rumbling around a lot of that, so it feels like not quite risky enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not confident enough in it to be a regular pick. So
also, it's pretty.
It was
I
like
think
the
it's subjective,
Spyro
isn't it?
in like a background on some like announcement as well. So it's
I think so. Yeah. So the risky pick that I'm gonna go with is similar to the one that Steve said about the Xbox exclusive. I think that this will be the first year since the release of the Xbox One that players will be able to confidently say that Xbox had a stronger release calendar than PlayStation.
Think it's a given personally, but yeah.
I think the question is, I think it's a given if the games Xbox has planned come out and are good, but we've seen that that's not a guarantee, right? Like, we thought last year would be a banger for them, and it wasn't. This,
No,
so,
that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of stuff didn't quite pan out.
Like,
did
if
it?
you had said if I had said that going into into 2023, you would have been like, that's bullshit. Redfall's coming out, Starfield's coming out. Redfall was obviously a disaster. Starfield underdelivered. I don't know. I think it's still.
Yeah, and I look at PlayStation last year. They had PSVR 2, which was a dud and no one cared about, and they released a DLC and a Spider-Man game, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
not phenomenal.
No,
like
but I don't think you
the only platform that really had a phenomenal year was Nintendo. Like,
I guess that's my point,
launch
right?
calendar, and it's like, wow.
Even in the years where Sony's not in front, Xbox is still like probably behind them, or it's like, yeah, they both kind of had a weak year, right? I think this will be a year where we're like, wow, Xbox really showed up this year. This was the year where all that talk came to something, and they had a game at Game of the Year, and this and that and this and that. I think this could be the one where the narrative turns in their favor finally.
I agree. One of my other risky picks was Hellblade will be Game of the Year, and I was going to put that down.
Ooh, that's fun.
Because I think that's the one that's going to be considered for Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
I like that.
My other risky pick, then, while we're doing this, is that Nvidia will release a new handheld, which then I thought, would that be too not risky? So I put a successor to the Shield as my next bit.
I actually think a new handheld is very risky. They've got that partnership with Nintendo. They don't really have any other system on a chips other than the ones that they really develop for them. Their kind of focus at the moment is AI rather than anything else. I think that would have been a really good risky pick.
I'm not having it. So, do you think it's better than my current one though? While we're talking about it.
I think your current one is less risky.
All right,
I think the current one's more likely to happen.
I agree.
Sticking with it.
Yeah.
I could also see them just doing like a tiny little indie game or something like they did with Snipper Clips or Good Job. Like, I could see them releasing something like that as theirs.
Totally. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be, definitely going to be an exciting year, right? Because I think like there's going to potentially be some big gaps, but we do have some new hardware. We have, a couple big games to look forward to that I think we'll be able to take our time with. It'll be an interesting one. Certainly probably not as eventful as 2023. I think that's one we'll look back on for the ages, but I don't know how you guys are feeling. I could feel I could be down for a slower year this year to catch my breath a little bit.
I've got last year bleeding into this year already. There's a few things I'm like, my queue is already still last year's games, and yet I've got stuff coming out this week, next week, the week after, that I want to play. So it's already off to a rough start, but oh well.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, gang. Well, if you want to write in with your thoughts on the results of last year's predictions and how I am the people's champion, or if you want to write in with your own predictions for 2024 and what you think might happen, make sure you hit us up in all the ways that you can by going over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can find links to our Discord, our email address, our Patreon if you want to go above and beyond and show your support for the shows. However you choose to get involved, we thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast. Took me a second on that one.
Where are we?
Where are we? Where am I? For the crew, I've been Pete. They've been Steve and Max. We'll see you next week, baby.